The large silver ship moved through space like a gentle giant. Commander Thexara stood on the bridge, her blue skin glowing softly under the ship's lights. She had 4 arms and eyes that could see colors humans had no names for. Behind her, the crew worked quietly at their stations. They were all different species, but they shared one thing. They were peaceful. "Commander," called Officer Zenth from his station, "we are getting strange signals from the 3rd planet." Thexara walked over to look at the screen. The signals were weak but clear. Someone was calling for help. The planet was mostly blue and green with white clouds swirling around it. It looked beautiful from space. "It looks like another species that needs our help," Thexara said. She felt good about this. The Velkan Confederation had helped many species over the years. They always found planets where the creatures were suffering from their own biology. It was their duty to fix these problems. "Prepare the medical ship," she ordered. "We will go down and see what we can do." On Earth, Dr. Bin was working late in his laboratory in Seoul. He was studying blood samples when his computer started beeping. The signals were coming from space. Real signals from real aliens. His hands shook as he tried to call his colleague Dr. Yoon. "Yoon, you need to see this," he said into his phone. "They are here. The aliens are actually here." Dr. Yoon was at home with her family when she got the call. She drove to the lab as fast as she could. When she saw the data, her heart started beating very fast. The signals were not random. They had patterns. They meant something. "They are trying to talk to us," she whispered. But the signals stopped. Then something appeared in the sky. In a small village outside Seoul, Day was working in his rice field. His daughter Nara was helping him plant new rice. The work was hard, but they enjoyed being together. Day was a simple man who loved his land and his family. "Father, look," Nara said, pointing at the sky. A bright light was coming down from the clouds. It was bigger than any airplane Day had ever seen. The light got brighter and brighter until they had to cover their eyes. The ship landed in the field next to them. It was smooth and silver with no sharp edges. A door opened and strange beings came out. They walked on 2 legs like humans, but they were taller and had different colored skin. Some had extra arms. Some had eyes that were too big. Thexara was the first to approach the humans. She had studied many species, but these creatures looked very sick. Her scanner showed terrible things. Their bodies were full of poison chemicals. Their cells were dying and growing back over and over. Their blood was fighting against itself. "Poor creatures," she said to her medical team. "Look how much they are suffering." Dr. Elithra, the chief medical officer, ran her scanner over Day and Nara. The results made her feel sick. "Commander, this is the worst case I have ever seen. Their entire biology is wrong.
They have stress chemicals that should kill them.
Their immune system is attacking their own bodies. And look at their brain activity. It is completely chaotic." Day tried to speak to the aliens, but they could not understand his words. He pointed to himself and said D slowly. Then he pointed to his daughter and said, "Nara." The aliens made notes on their devices. Nara was scared but also curious. She had never seen anything like these beings. When one of them came closer with a strange tool, she backed away. The tool was making a soft humming sound. "It is okay," Thexara tried to say in her own language. Of course, the humans could not understand. She made gentle motions with her hands to show she wanted to help. But when the scanner touched Nara's arm, she cried out. Not because it hurt, but because she was afraid. To the aliens, her cry sounded like the scream of someone in terrible pain. "They are suffering so much," Elithra said. "We must help them right away." More aliens came from the ship. They carried medical tools and containers. They were all very excited to help these poor sick creatures. In their experience, species that were this biologically broken usually died out quickly, but somehow these humans were still alive. "How do they even survive with this biology?" asked Dr. Kesh, another medical officer. "Their stress response should have killed them long ago, and their emotional centers are completely overactive." Thexara watched as her team started taking measurements. Every reading was worse than the last. The humans had short lifespans. Their bodies aged and broke down. They got sick easily. They felt pain from the smallest injuries, and their minds were full of chaos. "We need to start treatment immediately," she decided. "These creatures cannot live much longer in this condition." Dr. Bin and Dr. Yoon finally arrived at the village with a team from the government. But they were too late. The alien ship was already there, and the aliens were working on Day and Nara. "Wait," Dr. Yoon shouted as she ran toward them. "Please wait." But the aliens did not understand. They thought she was another sick human who needed help. When they pointed their scanners at her, they saw the same terrible biology. Her heart was beating too fast. Her stress chemicals were too high. Her brain was showing patterns they had never seen before. Another one in critical condition, Elithra noted. We need to treat all of them. Dr. Bin tried to use hand signals to communicate. He pointed to himself, then to the aliens, then made peaceful gestures. But every time he moved, the alien scanner showed more problems with his biology. More ships appeared in the sky. The aliens were calling for backup. This was bigger than they thought. An entire planet full of creatures that were suffering from the worst biological problems they had ever seen. Prepare the main medical ship, Thexara ordered. We need to set up a treatment center. These humans need our help, and they need it now. As the sun set over the rice field, more aliens landed. They set up equipment and started taking more humans for examination. Day and Nara were already inside the alien ship, lying on strange beds while machines scanned their bodies. The aliens worked through the night. Every test showed the same thing. Humans were a species in crisis. Their biology was so broken that it was amazing they could even think or move. The aliens felt very sad for these creatures, but also hopeful. They had fixed species like this before. It would take time, but they could cure the humans of their terrible biological problems. They had no idea that what they thought was a disease was actually what made humans human, and they could not understand that the sounds the humans made, the crying, the shouting, the screaming, were not signs of sickness. They were signs of life. 3 months had passed since the aliens first landed on Earth. Their giant medical ship now hung in the sky like a second moon. Commander Thexara felt proud of what her team had done. They had saved hundreds of humans from their terrible biological problems. Inside the ship, Chief Medical Officer Elithra walked through the recovery rooms. Everything was quiet and peaceful. The humans lay on soft beds, their bodies finally free from the chaos that had been killing them. Their stress chemicals were gone. Their immune systems no longer attacked their own bodies. Their brain activity was calm and steady. Perfect, Elithra said to her assistant. Look how peaceful they are now. In one room, Dr. Bin sat on his bed, staring at the wall. His brilliant mind was still there, but something was missing. Before the treatment, he had always been curious about everything. He would ask questions and want to learn new things. Now he felt nothing. When the aliens brought him food, he ate it. When they told him to sleep, he slept. When they asked him questions, he answered with simple words. How do you feel? Elithra asked him. I feel nothing, Dr. Bin answered. His voice was flat and empty. Good, she said, making notes. The pain is gone. But she did not understand that the pain had never been the problem. Down on Earth, Engineer Hayuk was hiding in an old subway tunnel in Seoul. He had managed to escape when the aliens first came to the city. Now he spent his days watching them through small cameras he had hidden around the city. On his computer screen, he could see the treated humans walking around like robots. They did exactly what the aliens told them to do. They ate when told to eat. They worked when told to work. They never laughed. They never cried. They never seemed to want anything. Captain Suho had been one of the first people taken from Seoul. Before the treatment, he was a strong leader in the Korean Navy. He could make quick decisions and inspire his men to follow him. Now Hayuk watched him on the camera. Suho stood in a line with other treated humans waiting for orders. When an alien pointed left, he went left. When an alien pointed right, he went right. He never asked why. What have they done to you? Hyuk whispered to his screen. In the village where it all started, young Isol was hiding in the forest. She was Nara's best friend, and she had been visiting when the aliens came. But she had been in the bathroom when they started taking people, so they missed her. Every day she snuck closer to where the aliens were working. She could see Nara sometimes walking around the alien base, but Nara did not look like herself anymore. Her face showed no feeling. Her eyes were empty. When Isolde tried to call out to her friend, Nara looked right through her like she was not there. The aliens were very happy with their work. They had fixed the human stress response system. No more fight-or-flight reactions that caused so much chaos. They had stopped the constant cell death and regrowth that seemed so wasteful. They had calmed the overactive emotional centers in the brain that caused so much suffering. The treatment is working perfectly, Dr. Kesh reported to Thexara. All biological markers are now within normal ranges. The humans show no signs of distress. Excellent, Thexara said. Prepare to expand the treatment to more population centers. We can save this entire species. But there were problems the aliens did not see. The treated humans no longer took care of themselves unless told to do so. They did not form friendships. They did not create art or music. They did not solve problems on their own. They did not dream. Dr. Yoon was one of the lucky ones. She had been captured early but had convinced the aliens to let her help with their research. She told them she was a doctor and could help them understand human biology better. The aliens were happy to have help from a native species. But what Dr. Yoon was really doing was trying to understand what the aliens had done to her people. She studied their equipment when they were not looking. She took small samples of the medicines they were using. And slowly she began to understand the horrible truth. The aliens had not cured a disease. They had cured humanity itself. "Commander," Dr. Yoon said one day, "may I ask you something about your people?" "Of course," Thexara said. She was always happy to share knowledge. "Do your people ever feel excited about things? Do you create art for no reason? Do you ever feel sad when someone dies?" Thexara looked confused. "Why would we feel sad about death? Death is natural, and art for no reason sounds wasteful. We create things when they are needed. But do you ever create something just because it makes you happy?" "Happy?" Thexara thought about this. "We feel satisfaction when we complete our duties. Is that the same thing?" Dr. Yoon realized that the aliens themselves had been cured long ago. They had given up everything that made life interesting in exchange for perfect peace and order. Back in his hiding place, Hyuk was making a discovery of his own. He had been watching the treated humans for weeks now, and he noticed something strange. They were not just calm, they were empty. They followed orders perfectly, but they never did anything on their own. He remembered his grandfather telling him stories about the old days, when Korea was occupied by other countries. His grandfather said the worst thing was not the hard work or the bad food. The worst thing was when people stopped hoping for something better. "That's what they've done," Hyuk said to himself. "They've taken away our hope." He started making plans. If the aliens thought they had cured humanity, then he would have to show them what they had really done. But first, he needed to find other people who were still free. Meanwhile, Isul was learning to be very quiet and very careful. She had found other untreated humans hiding in the mountains and forests around Seoul. There were not many, but they were still human in all the ways that mattered. At night, she would sneak close to the alien base and watch the treated humans. They reminded her of the dolls she used to play with as a child. They looked like people, but there was nothing alive inside them. One night, she got very close to where Nara was sleeping. She whispered her friend's name, hoping for some sign that the real Nara was still there. Nara opened her eyes and looked right at Isul. For just a moment, Isul thought she saw something, a tiny spark of recognition. But then Nara turned away and went back to sleep. She did not call for help. She did not try to escape. She did not even seem to remember that they had once been friends. The aliens continued their work, happy and confident. They had brought peace to a suffering species. Soon they would expand the treatment to the whole planet. Every human would be free from the biological chaos that had made their lives so difficult. They did not understand that the chaos had been the source of everything good about humanity. The stress response that helped humans react quickly to danger. The immune system that fought off diseases. The emotions that helped them form bonds with each other. The creativity that came from their overactive brains. The curiosity that made them want to learn and explore. All of it was gone now, replaced by perfect, empty peace. In the medical ship, Dr. Bin continued to stare at the wall. He knew he should feel something about what had happened to him, but he could not remember what feeling was like. Sometimes he almost remembered being excited about his research, but the memory felt like something that had happened to someone else. The aliens had cured him of being human, and the worst part was, he could no longer understand why that was a bad thing. Juan had been a biochemist before the aliens came. Now he was something else. A leader of people who still remembered what it meant to be human. He lived in an old cave system in the mountains east of Seoul, along with 43 other survivors. They had all learned to be very quiet and very careful. The alien scanners could detect human life from far away, but the caves had lots of metal in the rocks that blocked the signals. It was not perfect protection, but it was enough. Juan spent most of his time trying to understand what the aliens had done to the treated humans. He had managed to get samples of the alien medicine from Dr. Yoon, who was still pretending to help the aliens with their research. What he found made his blood run cold. They didn't just take away our pain, he explained to the other survivors one evening. They took away our entire stress response system. No fight or flight, no adrenaline, no emotional reactions to anything. But that's not all, he continued, holding up a small vial of the alien medicine. This stuff also blocks the brain chemicals that help us feel curious, creative, or motivated. It's like they turned off everything that makes us want to do anything. Miran, a teacher who had escaped from Busan, raised her hand. So the treated people aren't just calm. They're empty, Juan finished. They can still think and remember, but they don't care about anything. They have no desires, no goals, no dreams. The survivors sat in silence for a moment. They all had friends or family who had been treated. The idea that their loved ones were still alive but no longer really human was almost too horrible to think about. Meanwhile, Dr. Yoon was making her own discoveries inside the alien medical ship. She had been pretending to study human biology with the aliens for months now, and she was starting to understand their technology. Dr. Ilithra, she said one day, may I ask about your own people? How long ago did the Velkan Confederation develop this treatment? Oh, very long ago, Ilithra replied. My species was among the first to be cured. Before the treatment, we suffered from the same biological problems as humans. Stress, emotions, chaotic thinking. It made us very unhappy. But didn't you lose something when the chaos went away? Ilithra looked confused. Lose what? We gained peace and order. We can work together without conflict. We make logical decisions. We don't waste time on unnecessary activities. What about art? Music? Stories? We create those things when they serve a purpose, Ilithra said. But creating them for no reason would be wasteful. Dr. Yoon realized that Ilithra could not even understand what she was asking about. The aliens had been cured so long ago that they had forgotten what they had lost. They thought their empty, purposeful existence was better than the messy, chaotic, beautiful life they used to have. She began to understand that this was not just about humans. The entire Velkan Confederation was made up of species that had undergone the same treatment. Billions of intelligent beings, all of them cured of the things that made life worth living. That night she managed to send a secret message to Juan using a small radio she had built from alien parts. They did it to themselves first, she whispered into the device. The whole Confederation, they're all like this. Juan received the message in his cave. The news was both terrible and hopeful. Terrible because it meant the problem was much bigger than Earth. Hopeful because it meant there might be a way to reverse it. He began working on a new project. If the alien medicine could turn off human emotions and creativity, maybe he could find a way to turn them back on. Down in the village where it all started, Isel continued her nightly visits to watch the treated humans. She had been doing this for weeks now, and she was starting to notice something strange. Some of the younger treated humans were acting differently, not much but enough for her to notice. They would pause sometimes before following orders. They would look around as if they were trying to remember something. And sometimes, very rarely, she would see a flicker of something in their eyes. Nara was one of them. Isel's best friend was starting to show tiny signs that the real Nara might still be there, deep inside. When the aliens told her to go to sleep, she would hesitate for just a second. When they gave her food, she would stare at it for a moment before eating. Isel decided to take a big risk. One night, when the alien guards were changing shifts, she snuck into the building where Nara slept. She sat next to her friend's bed and whispered stories about their childhood. Stories about the games they used to play, the dreams they used to share, the plans they had made for the future. Nara's eyes opened, but she did not call for help or try to get away. She just listened. And for a moment, Isel thought she saw tears in her friend's eyes. Nara, she whispered, are you still in there? Nara opened her mouth as if to speak, but no words came out. Then she closed her eyes and went back to sleep. But Isel was sure she had seen something, a spark of the person her friend used to be. Back on the medical ship, something strange was happening to some of the treated humans. Dr. Bin had started asking questions that had nothing to do with what the aliens wanted to know. He would ask about the color of the walls or the sound the machines made. Small questions, but questions that showed curiosity. This is unexpected, Dr. Yelithra told Commander Thexera. Some of the humans are showing signs of returning biological chaos. Is the treatment failing? Not exactly. The younger humans seem to be adapting. Their biology is fighting against the treatment. This was something the aliens had never seen before. In all their years of helping other species, none had ever started to reverse the cure on their own. Thexera was worried. If the treatment stopped working, the humans would go back to their chaotic, suffering existence. She could not let that happen. Increase the treatment dose, she ordered. We cannot let them return to their previous state. But increasing the dose had unexpected effects. Some humans became completely unresponsive. Others began showing signs of physical illness. And a few, like Dr. Bin, seemed to become more resistant to the treatment rather than less. Dr. Yoon watched all of this with growing hope and fear. Hope because it meant humans might be able to recover. Fear because the aliens were getting more aggressive with their treatments. She sent another message to Juan. Some people are fighting back naturally. The treatment doesn't work the same on everyone, but the aliens are going to try stronger medicine. Juan received this news just as he was making his own breakthrough. He had been studying the alien medicine for weeks, and he thought he understood how it worked. More importantly, he thought he knew how to reverse it. The medicine worked by blocking certain brain chemicals and hormone receptors. But human biology was more complex than the aliens realized. We had backup systems and alternative pathways that could work around the blocks, given time and the right triggers. We need to rescue some of the treated people, he told his fellow survivors. I think I can help them, but I need to test my theories. It was a dangerous plan. The aliens guarded their patients carefully, but Juan knew they were running out of time. Soon the aliens would start treating entire cities at once. If they were going to save humanity, they had to act now. Captain Suho was standing guard duty at one of the alien bases when he felt something strange. For just a moment he remembered what it felt like to make his own decisions. The feeling was so surprising that he almost fell down. He looked around at the other treated humans. They were all standing perfectly still, waiting for orders. But for the first time in months, Suho wondered if there might be another way to live. The spark of rebellion was tiny, but it was growing. And the aliens had no idea that their perfect cure was starting to fail. Engineer Hayuk had been planning the rescue mission for 2 weeks. He had mapped every alien base around Seoul, learned their guard patterns, and figured out the best way to get in and out without being caught. But the most important part of the plan came from Juan's research. We need to get them somewhere safe before we try to reverse the treatment, Juan explained to the rescue team. When the human emotions come back, it's going to be intense. They'll experience everything they've been blocked from feeling for months all at once. The team consisted of 8 survivors, including Isul, who knew the layout of the village base better than anyone. They moved out at midnight, when the alien guards were at their lowest numbers. The rescue went better than expected. The alien guards were not used to dealing with resistance, and they had gotten lazy after months of controlling humans who never fought back. Hayuk's team managed to get into the village base and grab 6 treated humans, including Nara and an older man named Seok, who had been a farmer. But as they were leaving, something unexpected happened. Nara suddenly stopped walking and looked around. Her eyes were wide and confused, like someone waking up from a long dream. Where? She started to say, then stopped. She looked at Isul with growing recognition. Isul, is that really you? She's coming back on her own, Isul whispered in amazement. They got the rescued humans back to the cave, where Juan was waiting with his improvised medical equipment. He had created a treatment that he hoped would help reverse the alien medicine, but he had never tested it on anyone. Nara, he said gently, I'm going to try to help you remember who you are, but I need to warn you, it might hurt. Nara nodded, but her face was still mostly blank. She could understand his words, but she could not really feel anything about what was happening. Juan injected her with his treatment. For a few minutes, nothing happened. Then Nara's face began to change. First there was confusion. Then something that looked like pain. Then fear. What's happening to me? She asked. And for the first time in months, her voice had real emotion in it. You're becoming human again, Isul said, taking her friend's hand. But as the alien medicine wore off, Nara began to experience everything she had been blocked from feeling. 3 months of suppressed emotions hit her all at once. She remembered being taken from her father. She remembered the fear and helplessness of being unable to feel anything. She remembered watching other humans become empty shells, and then she started to scream. It was not a scream of pain exactly. It was the sound of someone feeling everything. Joy, terror, love, rage, hope, despair, all mixed together. It was the sound of humanity returning in a rush. The other survivors gathered around, some of them crying. They had not heard a real human scream in months. To them it was the most beautiful sound in the world. On the alien medical ship, the monitoring equipment started going crazy. The scanners that tracked the treated humans showed that 6 of them had suddenly returned to the chaotic biological state the aliens had worked so hard to cure. How is this possible? Dr. Elithra asked, staring at the readings. Their stress chemicals are off the charts. Their brain activity is completely unstable. They're showing all the symptoms of the disease again. Commander Thexara was very upset. Find them. We need to treat them immediately before the condition gets worse, but Dr. Yoon, who was watching from her station, felt something she had not felt in months. Hope. Meanwhile, in the cave, Nara was slowly calming down. The initial rush of emotions was fading, leaving behind something more manageable but still wonderfully real. She looked at Isul and smiled. A real smile, full of warmth and love. I missed you so much, she said. I couldn't feel it before, but I missed you every day. Juan began treating the other rescued humans one by one. Each recovery was different. Saak, the older farmer, wept when he remembered his crops and his animals. A young woman named Gina laughed until she cried when she remembered her favorite songs. But the most dramatic recovery was Dr. Bin, who had been among the last to be rescued. When Juan's treatment reached his system, his brilliant mind came flooding back online. The curiosity and creativity that had been blocked for months returned in a torrent. The quantum resonance patterns, he said, sitting up suddenly. I can see how their technology works now. It's not just blocking our brain chemistry, it's rewriting our neural pathways. Can you help us fight it? Juan asked. I can do better than that, Dr. Bin said, his eyes bright with the fire of scientific discovery. I can help us turn their own technology against them. Back on the medical ship, Dr. Yoon was having a conversation that would change everything. She had been working with Elithra for so long that the alien doctor had started to trust her. So when Yoon asked to examine the readings from the relapsed humans, Elithra allowed it. Look at these brain scans, Dr. Yoon said, pointing to the data. You see all this chaos and activity? Yes, Elithra said sadly. They're suffering again. But look more closely. See these patterns here? Dr. Yoon highlighted parts of the brain scan. This chaos is not random. It's incredibly complex and organized. This is what allows humans to create art, to solve problems in new ways, to form deep emotional bonds with each other. But it causes them pain, Elithra protested. Yes, sometimes it does, but it also causes them joy, and love and wonder, and the motivation to make their lives better. Dr. Yoon pulled up another screen. Look at what humans created before you treated them. Music, literature, scientific discoveries, beautiful buildings. All of that came from the chaos you cured. For the first time in her long life, Elithra began to feel something that might have been doubt. In the cave, Captain Suho was the next to be treated. When his emotions returned, he did not scream like Nara had. Instead, he stood up very straight and looked around at all the survivors. How many of us are left? He asked. Not many, Juan admitted. Maybe a few hundred who escaped treatment. Suho nodded. Then we need to organize. We need to save as many as we can, and we need to show the aliens what they've really done. The fire was back in his eyes, the same fire that had made him a great military leader. But now it was tempered with something new, the knowledge of what it felt like to lose everything that made him human. They think they're helping us, he said. But they're destroying us, and we're going to prove it to them. As the night went on, more treated humans began showing signs of natural recovery. The alien scanners detected biological chaos returning in humans all over Earth. Young people seemed to be more resistant to the treatment, and some were fighting their way back to humanity on their own. Commander Thexara was faced with a choice she had never expected to make. She could increase the treatment to levels that might be dangerous, forcing the humans back into their cured state. Or she could try to understand why some humans seemed to prefer their chaotic, painful existence to the peace she was offering. For the first time in centuries, a member of the Velkan Confederation began to wonder if their perfect cure might not be so perfect after all. In the cave, Nara was sitting with Isul, both of them crying and laughing at the same time. They were feeling everything, The joy of being reunited, the sadness of what they had lost, the hope for what they might save, and the fear of what might happen next. To the alien scanners, it looked like pure biological chaos. To them, it was the most human thing in the world. The confrontation began not with weapons or warfare, but with a simple question. Dr. Yoon had spent weeks working alongside Dr. Elithra, slowly helping the alien understand what the cure had really done to humanity. Now, as reports came in of more humans naturally fighting off the treatment, Elithra was finally ready to listen. "Dr. Yoon," she said one morning, "I need to understand something. These humans who are rejecting our treatment, they are choosing to return to a state of biological chaos. Why would they choose suffering over peace?" Dr. Yoon had been waiting for this question. "Because it's not just suffering," she explained. "Come with me. I want to show you something." She led Elithra to a viewing screen where they could see some of the treated humans in the recovery rooms. They sat quietly on their beds, staring at nothing, waiting for instructions. "These humans are peaceful," Dr. Yoon said. "But watch them carefully. Do you see any signs of life?" Elithra observed for several minutes. "They appear to be resting comfortably. Now look at this." Dr. Yoon switched the screen to show footage from Earth before the aliens arrived. Humans working, laughing, arguing, creating art, solving problems, hugging their children, crying at movies, dancing to music. "But they look so chaotic," Elithra said. "So unpredictable." "Yes," Dr. Yoon agreed. "That chaos is what we call life. The stress responses that worried you help us react quickly to danger and save each other. The emotions you blocked help us form bonds strong enough that we would die for each other. The overactive brain patterns give us the creativity to solve problems that have never been solved before." Elithra was quiet for a long time. "But they appear to be in pain. Sometimes we are. But we're also in joy. We feel wonder when we see something beautiful. We feel pride when we accomplish something difficult. We feel love so strong it makes us cry. You cured us of the pain, but you also cured us of everything else." Meanwhile, in the caves outside Seoul, Dr. Bin was working with Captain Suho and Engineer Hyuk to plan their final mission. They had successfully reversed the treatment on 37 humans, and each recovery had taught them more about how to help others. "The key is that we can't force it," Dr. Bin explained. "The human mind has to want to come back. The treatment works by making people not care about anything, so we have to give them something to care about." They had learned this from watching Nara's recovery. She had started coming back on her own because Isol had reminded her of their friendship. Love had been stronger than the alien medicine. "So we need to get to the treated humans and remind them who they are," Captain Suho said. "Show them what they're missing." "It's going to be painful for them," Juan warned. "When all those suppressed emotions come back at once, some of them are going to scream." "Then we'll let them scream," Suho said firmly. "Better to scream with feeling than to be silent and empty." The plan was ambitious. They would infiltrate multiple alien bases at the same time, not to fight, but to talk to the treated humans, to sing them old songs, tell them stories about their lives, show them pictures of their families. They would remind them of everything the treatment had taken away. On the medical ship, Commander Thexara was struggling with doubts she had never experienced before. The reports from Dr. Yoon and Dr. Elithra were deeply troubling. If the humans truly preferred their chaotic biology, what did that say about the Confederation's centuries of helping other species? She called a meeting with her senior officers. "I need to understand," she said. "Are we helping these humans or are we harming them?" "Commander," Dr. Kesh said, "the human's biology is clearly flawed. Our scanners show constant stress, cellular damage, emotional instability. How can that be better than the peace we've given them?" But Dr. Elithra spoke up. "I have been studying their behavior more carefully. The treated humans show no initiative, no creativity, no social bonding. They are alive, but they are not living." "What do you mean?" Thexara asked. "Before treatment, humans created things for no practical reason. They would make music that served no function except to make them happy. They would write stories about imaginary events. They would take care of each other even when there was no benefit to themselves. After treatment, they do none of these things." The room was silent. This was not something any of them had considered before. Down on Earth, the Resistance was putting their plan into action. Teams of recovered humans approached alien bases all over the world. They came not as attackers, but as healers of a different kind. Isol walked into the village base where her friend had been held. The alien guards tried to stop her, but she sat down right in the middle of the room and began to sing. It was a song she and Nara used to sing as children, about friendship and hope and dreams for the future. The treated humans in the room turned to look at her. Something in their empty eyes began to flicker. "Remember when we were 7 years old," Isul said to Nara, who was standing nearby. "You wanted to be a teacher and I wanted to be a pilot. We promised we would travel the world together and see everything there was to see." Nara blinked. Her face, which had been blank for months, began to show confusion, then recognition, then something that might have been pain. I remember," she whispered. And then she began to cry. All over the world, similar scenes were playing out. Recovered humans reminding treated humans of who they used to be. Parents calling out to their children. Children singing to their parents. Friends sharing memories of better times. And slowly, one by one, the treated humans began to wake up. The screaming started all at once. Thousands of humans, all over Earth, suddenly feeling months of suppressed emotions rushing back. The alien monitoring equipment went crazy as stress levels spiked and brain activity exploded into the chaotic patterns they had worked so hard to eliminate. But this time, the aliens were listening more carefully. Mixed in with the screams were other sounds: laughter, singing, people calling out names of loved ones. The sounds of humans reconnecting with each other and with themselves. Dr. Elithra stood in the command center, watching the readings with new understanding. "Commander," she said quietly, "I think we've made a terrible mistake." Nara found Isul in the crowd of people who were crying and laughing and holding each other. Her friend's face was streaked with tears, but she was smiling. "I can feel everything again," Nara said. "It hurts, but it's wonderful. I remember why I wanted to live." "What did the treatment take away from you?" Isil asked. "Everything," Nara said. "The ability to hope, to dream, to love, to want anything better than what I had. They didn't cure our pain. They cured our ability to feel that life was worth living." Commander Thexara made a decision that would change the Velkan Confederation forever. She opened communications with the recovered humans and asked to speak with their leaders. Captain Suho, Dr. Bin, and Dr. Yoon met with the alien commander on neutral ground. Thexara's first question surprised them. "We believed we were helping you," she said, "but Dr. Elithra tells me we may have been wrong." "Can you explain to me what we took away?" "You took away our souls," Dr. Yoon said simply. "You saw our emotions and called them chaos. You saw our struggles and called them suffering. But those things are what make us human. When we love someone, it makes us vulnerable to pain. But it also gives us something worth protecting. When we face problems, stress motivates us to solve them. When we create art, it serves no practical purpose, but it feeds our spirits. Your people must have once had these things too," Dr. Bin added, "before you were cured of them." Thexara was quiet for a long moment. "If that is true," she said finally, "then we have not helped anyone for a very long time. We have only spread our own emptiness to other worlds." The conversation continued for hours. The aliens learned about human creativity, about the way pain and joy were connected, about how struggle led to growth and how love made life meaningful even when it was difficult. Some of the alien crew, led by Dr. Elithra, made an unprecedented request. They wanted to stay on Earth and study what they had lost. They wanted to understand if there was a way to reverse their own ancient cure. "It will be difficult," Dr. Yoon warned them. "Feeling everything after centuries of feeling nothing, it might be overwhelming." "Then we will learn to scream too," Elithra said. As the alien medical ship prepared to leave Earth, many of the Confederation crew looked back at the planet with something they had not felt in millennia: curiosity about what they might have missed. The humans they left behind were not cured of their chaotic biology. They still felt pain and stress and overwhelming emotions. They still grew old and died. They still made mistakes and hurt each other and struggled with problems that had no easy solutions. But they were alive in every way that mattered. They created beauty for no reason except that it made them happy. They loved each other despite the pain it sometimes caused. They reached for dreams that might be impossible to achieve. Dr. Bin returned to his laboratory with a new understanding of what made humanity special. Captain Suho rebuilt his military unit with soldiers who fought not just from duty, but from love of what they were protecting. Nara became the teacher she had always dreamed of being, helping children understand that their feelings, all of them, were part of what made them human. And sometimes when they were very happy or very sad or very amazed by something beautiful,